ready with me while I tell you a story about a time I cheated on my boyfriend and don't regret it. Now, I would like to preface this by saying I do not condone cheating. It's not healthy. It's not good. But I try to find, the light at the end of the tunnel in every situation. And let's just say the situation brought me back to life and made me wake up and realize that I was not happy. Now, to start this off, you should know that I was in a very, very toxic relationship for about 3.5, 4 years, and things weren't going very well. Now, where the issue started is my ex and I were preparing for Valentine's Day. And right around the time of Valentine's Day, he decides that he is going to go on a boys' trip to Scottsdale, which I was fine with. I didn't mind when he went out of town. But he lets me know the dates on it, and I start laughing. I was like, excuse me? I was like, that's over Valentine's Day. We have plans for Valentine's Day. We had reservations to a really nice restaurant, and he was just making adverse plans to go off with boys on a boys trip on Valentine's Day. Now, this man was slick. So what he did was he had remembered that my girlfriends had talked about going on a trip to Mexico when we had been all hanging out a few weeks ago. And he's like, oh my God, you go on a girl's trip, I'll go on a guy's trip. And in return, I'll pay for your plane ticket for you to go. And I was like, but I don't know, kind of a trip with my girlfriends seemed like a good idea. So I agreed. Now, as I'm taking off to go to Mexico, I realize this man has only bought me an economy seat. And that's fine, don't get me wrong. But if you are a man and you mess up Valentine's Day to go on a boys trip and you're sending your girl off somewhere else, at least get her a Delta comfort seat. But I was, in the back in economy and it was fine.
I don't know. Obviously, I don't agree with the Valentine's bit. The fact that, okay, yeah, it's fair enough to go on a lads trip for a whole weekend, even though you're in a relationship. That's, normal. That's not to be frowned upon. But obviously, the fact of a Valentine's weekend, and I guess, from a possibly, the female perspective, that if you're making plans over Valentine's Day, you're choosing to spend the time with your friends rather than your partner, which I do understand and really isn't right. There's the argument for, Valentine's Day can always be rearranged for when he comes back or before you go. Why does it have to be on that day? And then the second thing is, okay, he's offered to pay for your trip to Mexico, which, is I think it's a really nice gesture, but the fact that he's just got you economy seats it's not really a big deal. They're just plane seats. It's not like you're going across the world. You're literally going from the US to Mexico. I think it's a bit nitpicking, to be honest.
So I take off, heading off to Mexico with my girlfriends. We get to Mexico, hanging out, having a great time, and all of a sudden I see this guy's Instagram story that looks just like where I'm at. And it was a guy who I had met in Atlanta, out and about, but he had moved to a different state. And so we kind of kept in touch with each other, but just as friends. I met him when he had a girlfriend. He met me whenever I had a boyfriend. So the second that I see that we are literally in the same place, same location, I reach out and I was like, hey, we should all get together, because everyone knew each other who was associated with this group. And let me tell you, this man, beautiful. Probably the most beautiful man I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'll just go ahead and have to say we're going to need a part 2 because I need to continue, and I'm getting hot thinking about how cute this guy is.
So obviously the conclusion for that is that she obviously cheated on her current boyfriend, who, bearing in mind, paid for her trip to go to Mexico, and she cheated on him. But obviously, right at the start of the video, she did say that this was a very toxic relationship that she was in. So from that viewpoint, you kind of understand her motivation for not really wanting to stay in that relationship, and possibly in a way looking for an excuse to get out of the relationship by cheating with someone who she really, really fancied. So yeah, there's arguments for both sides there. But obviously cheating isn't a good thing at all, and it's not something that anyone should condone. But for this woman, I think she kind of just saw light at the end of the tunnel from an abusive and toxic relationship by cheating.